Welcome to the Visionary Chronicles, a business strategy podcast where we provide insight to those looking for creative, executable strategies built around the latest disruptive ideas, innovative cultures, product creators, and marketing solutions. Hello and welcome to the Visionary Chronicles. Today we're on episode number 154, How Time Flies. We're on May of 2024 already. And this is a continuation of the new book I released, about 18 months or so ago. It's The Visionary Brand, the Success Formula Behind the World's Most Visionary Brands. Reader's favorite award winner, best nonfiction marketing book, Amazon bestseller. Thank you again for those that supported the release of the book. But more importantly, as I always say, I love the feedback that I get from the entrepreneurs and business leaders out there that tell me how they applied the content in the book. That's probably more important to me than having the bestseller. So again, thank you for all of those that supported the book. And also, FYI, I just finished the manuscript of my next book, The Visionary Leader. So that'll be a compliment to my first book, The Visionary Brand. And then finally, the triad will be The Visionary Product. So let's start on this week's podcast about the subject, the fuel. The fuel to me is the marketing strategy and marketing around the fuel that you put into the engine of great visionary brands. And the subject is how to inspire through personalization and ambassadors. And I love the quote by Pablo Picasso that kind of relates to this strategy around inspiring people through personalization. Is inspiration exists, but it has to find us working. Meaning that if you're only inspired to not do anything, you don't aspire to do anything. So you want to make sure that when you inspire people, that they aspire to do great things. And I go back to, and it's in the book, and I use it as a case study actually, which is interesting, is the Just Do It campaign with Nike. And I often talk about what is marketing's overall goal: a lifestyle marketing brand, one that has great products but exceptional marketing. It is to inspire your community to want to wear your products, but to have them aspire to achieve that which they haven't achieved before. How to become a better basketball player, how to become a better runner, how to become a better football player, whatever it may be. As long as you as a brand are authentic in your marketing and your personalization of products, you're going to be successful in the marketplace, similar to what Nike, Under Armour, Adidas, I call it the big three triad of brands, have achieved. So to create and maintain your strategy and growing a premium brand, you just can't invest in product creation. And what I mean by that is that you must also invest in developing your messaging, your authentication. What I call earning your stripes as a brand is you can't just say you are a brand. You have to have a strategy around authenticating yourself as a brand. And that comes through messaging, marketing, and merchandising, in-store POP, whatever it is. So to be perceived, what we call this perception as premium, the message must absolutely match the reality at all levels of your consumer engagement through the funnel, purchasing funnel. And we talked about this previously, where we talk about this new marketing funnel. And this new marketing funnel it's the life cycle, or this purchase cycle of a consumer has changed. Now you can engage with them post-purchase. But how are you going to provide value to them beyond the product that they just purchased? So it's from anticipation of the purchase to activation through eventual use of your product is where you need to be A+. And very few brands have been able to do it successfully. And now there's another word that's thrown into the equation we never really had the opportunity to do before, and that's called personalization. So visionary brands, truly visionary brands, separate themselves and find a point of difference wherever they can. And they separate themselves from the competition at every level of that engagement. Think about this. Pre-purchase, people are looking at what? They'll search for a product. They'll want to be engaged with the brand. They'll want to know what the product does, or what your community is all about, or what your brand principles are. These are all levels of engagement with a brand. And don't kid yourself as a brand or a company that people don't look that up. They go to your website. They go to your purpose. They take a look at your product. They look at your marketing. They know who you are and if you're authentic or you're not authentic. And I'll go back to the example of making someone a better runner. And I've talked about this before, is the disconnect with your consumer or your community that you have is that if you don't have a true authentic runner that's endorsing your product authentically and actually using your product, and I throw that in there because a lot of people forget that with social media, it also is 24/7 surveillance of your ambassadors. So you want to make sure that whatever you do and whoever you have as an ambassador, that they're actually utilizing your product and are authentic to the category you're trying to sell. That works. Anything less doesn't. So again, visionary brands separate themselves from the competition at every level of engagement through the purchase funnel, knowing that at each point, it's critical to a brand's overall success. It's called customer lifetime value, CLV, that everybody talks about. You don't want a one-time purchaser of your product. You want a repeat purchaser. That becomes customer lifetime value. So the best way to manage this engagement is through personalization. And most people think, Dear Bryan, or Dear Dave, or Dear Julie, whatever it is, that's personalization. But you have to think bigger picture. What I mean by personalization is that whatever the value or principles of your brand are, who are you as a brand? Remember, we went back to the very beginning of the book and we talked about the who, what, why, when, and where of your brand. Who are you? What do you do? What do you want to achieve? All of these questions have to be answered on the front end in order for you to define your demographic and how you personalize your messaging. So inspiring your community through personalization is what I call this holy grail for visionary brands. Achieving this strategy successfully will give you access to significant amounts of data, especially with, and we talked about it on the last two podcasts, the regular Visionary Chronicles podcast, where I talked about artificial intelligence and how to apply that to your marketing strategy. So if you haven't seen it or you haven't listened to it, I would highly recommend you go back and listen to the artificial intelligence marketing, because this is where you get that data in order for you to drill down into the specifics on your community and defining the personalization. And it goes towards not only your messaging, but it goes towards your marketing strategy and investments. How else are you going to get your return on investment if you don't have or know who your customer is? So this data is extremely important. So it's a metric analysis, it's dynamic reporting that really allows you, and the marketing team, and we talk about it with Liquid Mind and the brands that we work with, is really sharpening your focus as a marketing team and as a brand. And the most efficient way to gather this information and decipher what you need versus what is not needed, again, is to use artificial intelligence. Now, I put this caveat out there with artificial intelligence that don't adopt it because it's the latest trend. Adopt it because it's an effective utilization of your resources, your data, and it's an anchor to your marketing strategy going forward. If you don't have this as part of your marketing strategy and a tool that's being utilized by your marketing team, you are definitely going to fall behind. It's not if, but when you are going to fall behind your competition. So this will provide accurate, individualized data that you need, targeted to a consumer level. The amount of analysis that must be computed and spit out is enormous. So having artificial intelligence is a weapon you can deploy in your marketing strategy that allows you to define your personalization strategy. So measuring long-term consumer value through these, what I call tangible metrics now, is critical to predictability of your brand equity and your revenue growth. And what I mean by that is either you're a commodity or your brand. We talked about it before. It's very black and white. A brand is selling a lifestyle. A commodity is selling a product. And people get confused by that sometimes, but I try to make that as black and white as possible because I want to bring it down to a 2,000-foot level for those that are trying to understand how to market a brand. And how you market a brand is certainly you need to have superior product. But think about it. There is superior product with inferior brands that don't know how to market, that aren't considered lifestyle and don't have the equity a Nike has. Let's say that there's similar technology, similar product with a brand or a company or a commodity like Skechers, but they're not a lifestyle brand like Nike. So there's the point of difference when you look at building a brand versus having a commodity. So measuring long-term consumer value through these tangible metrics allows you to set a baseline and personalize your marketing strategy and define your ROI as you move forward. It's this digital dashboard of any brand's ongoing, I call heartbeat. It's the veins of a brand that allows you to define the health of your brand, who is working with your brand, who is buying your brand, and who your brand consumer is. So pre-purchase acquisition cost, transactional value, turn rates, post-purchase value are really essential, what I call metrics, this dashboard. And pre-purchase has always been the focus around marketing, but I want to talk about post-transaction value. And pre-purchase is very defined. It's always been this funnel of pre-purchase decision-making, consideration, and eventually purchasing the product, spitting them out through the back end of the tunnel, this narrow tunnel, and then moving on to the next customer. But we talked about what this life cycle, product life cycle looks like, and now it's different. It's this value life cycle that we have now, with providing value beyond product is the key to long-term success. When I looked at these visionary brands, the Apples of the world, the Nikes of the world, Adidas, all of these brands that are generational, have been around for decades. One common denominator they had was they had a foundational principle around who they were and what the brand stood for, and that never changed. There's a difference between values and principles. Values can change, principles can't. And so when you look at the brand and the company, you can pivot off of values and you can move back. You can go, your course and direction should always be to keeping the future in mind and the vision of where you want to take the brand and taking steps toward that. Now you can take a step back, you can go side to side, but at the end of the day, the intent is that you know where you're going and how you're going to get there. So again, these pre-purchase acquisition costs, all of these are familiar. Everybody is familiar with the metrics around how to acquire a customer. But what I'm saying is once you spent all that money, what do you do post-purchase is the key to your success. And we talked about these visionary brands is they provide value beyond purchase. So the more focused a brand is on refining these targeted campaigns, the better they can personalize the user experience. And when you look at lifetime value of a customer, user experience is the essential ingredient to this formula in being visionary. And what I mean by that is I'll use an example. Let's say, for instance, that you go on to a website. I don't care what it is, North Face, Patagonia, whatever it is, a premium brand. And you purchase the product, but the return is hard. Asking a question is hard. Getting your money back on a return is hard. Whatever it may be, that's an experience that goes beyond product. There's too many companies that focus on product, but they don't focus on the experience. Now, you can overcome an inferior product if you have a great experience. So the user experience of this enhancing loyalty and defining lifetime value is crucial to your success. So when you look at this, brand personalization is a powerful, powerful strategy for a visionary brand, or any brand for that matter, that allows a business to connect with their consumers on a more personalized and individualized level. Now you'll say, hey, I have millions of customers, I've got thousands of customers. How can I possibly personalize every message to my customer? Well, remember, The anchoring principles of your company and how you positioned it should be the vision of how you personalize your community. Now, there should be people, and I go back to the Nike Just Do It campaign. There's a reason I did that on the front end, is because when you look at personalization of brands, the Just Do It campaign was targeting a specific demographic. And they didn't really care if you understood the language of what they were trying to convey through the Just Do It campaign. All they knew was this inspirational campaign would aspire people to greatness. That's what their intent was. They wanted people to see them in the Jordan shoes and flying through the air, even though they couldn't. An example, I love Jordan shoes, but I certainly can't fly like MJ. But by tailoring their products, services, and communications to meet specific needs and preferences of individual consumers as a community, they create more engaging and memorable brand experiences. So when you look at what is the key to personalization, here are some aspects. Not all, like I normally say, it's not all of them, but they're the most important things that we put up on the board when we're going through this exercise with our brands with Liquid Mind. And people ask us all the time, well, we've got millions of customers or hundreds of customers or thousands of customers. How do we drill down into defining our community and our customer and our messaging to make it more personalized? Well, these are some areas that you'll want to take a look at. The first is data collection and analysis. You'll want to gather and analyze customer data as purchase history, browsing behavior. All of this can be done, by the way, through AI. Demographics, preferences. The data can provide valuable insights to consumers' interests, needs, tendencies, and you can enable on an ongoing basis, and this is what allows you to build this funnel of product innovation we talk about, needs and tendencies enabling personalized offering and messaging. These are the things you get in your email when you search for a product or you talk about its verbal language processing, VLB, where you talk about a product and all of a sudden it comes up in Facebook. So these are data collection and analysis tools that you can utilize as a brand. Number 2 is segmentation and targeting. You want to use this collected data that you get because many times we'll talk to brands and they'll say, oh yeah, we have an AI strategy. And my first question back to them is, what data are you collecting? And how are you utilizing it? And how are you converting that to personalized messaging? And I get a lot of blank stares, although it's getting better with some of the brands that we work with. And so when you use this collected data to segment consumers into specific groups, based on shared characteristics, behaviors, preferences. Now, what it does is you've got a defined demographic, right? But now you want segmentation of these specific groups so you can become more personalized in your messaging. So this allows for more targeting, tailored marketing, product offerings that resonate with each of your consumer segments. Their unique needs. So there's number 2, segmentation and targeting off of the data you've collected off of number 1. Number 3 is then utilizing personalized communications. This is the, hey, John, hey, Pete. You as well would probably like that if I know in my emails that if I get an email that says hello, comma, that they haven't done anything about personalized communication or any personalized message that I may be interested in. Even a simple, hey, Bryan, is a start. Saying hello, comma, is not even trying. So leverage consumer data to personalize communication channels like email, social media, direct mail, address consumers by name, reference specific interest, provide personalized recommendations, content relative to them. Now, in content and personalized recommendations, think community, not individual, because you've got a specific demographic that you're looking to sell through your email campaigns. So personalized communications. Then we get into number 4, which is customized product and services. And this isn't making a customized product for every customer. It's out there. What it is you've got inline product that you can then customize and message to those that are interested in a particular segment of your inline program. So offer customized options, allowing customers to personalize products, services according to their preferences. You may have somebody who's a yogi. You may have somebody that's a runner. You may have somebody that's a football player. That's what I'm talking about on customized products and services, is giving them value beyond product. You know, this could include different types of, again, personalized packaging or branding. Number 5 is personalized experience journey. Tailor the user experience on your websites. Mobile apps, in-store interactions to match individuals' consumer preferences. So this is the journey, not the individual purchase. This could be personalized product recommendations, content navigation based on their browsing history. It's all of this data input that you have through AI. And now you're starting to see that's only number 5. I've got 3 more to go. So you can imagine all this data and input that you have as a brand. Trying to define and decipher it without AI is virtually impossible. So personalized experience journey. Then there's the loyalty and reward programs. Many people don't take advantage of this. The brands that do have repeat customer and higher CLV, customer lifetime value. We recommend this for all of our brands. Implement personalized loyalty, reward programs that recognize and reward customers for repeat purchases. And this can foster a sense, what I call this sense of exclusivity and increased engagement with the brand. Engagement is probably the hardest thing for brands to accomplish and execute successfully. But just by design of putting somebody in a loyalty program gives them a sense of personalization and engagement. So just do it. So that's number 6. Number 7 is customer support and service. This is integral to a brand success. I'm amazed at how many people feel like great marketing and product is enough. It's not in this day and age. Provide customized customer support and service by leveraging data and interaction history. And this can enhance the overall, what I call this customer journey, this lifestyle experience that they have with your brand, and it'll strengthen the brand and your customer relationship ongoing. Again, CLV is the key. So after this is number 8, and I put it in number 8 for a reason, because optimization is something people don't think about. Well, we implemented it and we're just going to let it run without optimizing, utilizing the data, inputting the data, optimizing the experience on an ongoing basis and making it dynamic. Nobody does that. So I want you to have a continuous optimization strategy with how you personalize your communications. So regularly analyze customer data and feedback to refine and optimize personalization strategies. All the data your AI is collecting is changing by the minute, if not by the second. So you can imagine, even after a couple weeks of this strategy being in place, how much data there is that you can refine and optimize your strategies from a marketing standpoint. So again, make sure that you continually optimize your strategies. So again, by effectively implementing these aspects of brand personalization, businesses can create a more meaningful and engaging connection with their customers, increasing customer loyalty, satisfaction, and then ultimately the goal is better business revenue generation and brand equity growth. So that is inspire through what I call personalization. The next step is aspire through ambassadors. When we talk about this, keeping a fire on your brand with plenty of fuel, we call it, and that's why I call this the fuel, is the marketing strategy isn't easy. Fortunately, you don't have to do it all on your own. Visionary brands have ambassadors that support the internal team to successfully execute this. And I thought it was an opportune time to talk about it because it is becoming more and more popular on social media. So there's athlete ambassadors, there's social persona, there's virtual ambassadors, there's all kinds of ambassadors. And these are individuals, and people often ask me, like, what is an ambassador? Okay, these are individuals who carry the brand's voice beyond the company's 4 walls. Okay, they're the ones that are the most passionate users of the brand's products and consistently promote the product benefits. Now, I want you to, and I'm going to say it again, but I want you to really piece that apart because it's integral to your success in utilizing ambassadors. These are individuals who carry the brand voice beyond the company's 4 walls. They're the ones who are the most passionate users of the brand products and consistently promote the product benefits. If they're not a user, guess what? They're not authentic and they can't promote the benefits authentically, and your community will see that. The key to finding ambassadors who are authentic to their category, for instance, I'll use running as an example. You need to find an authentic runner. If you're a football brand, find an elite NFL player. It seems simple, but most companies don't understand the value that this provides to their brand. Along with being authentic, make sure you have the following items that you can leverage with these ambassadors. For this strategy, and I say strategy, and it's important on personalization because personalization is really many times bled off who the ambassadors are for your brand. So in order for it to work as planned, the brand ambassador's reach combined with her voice needs to be authentic, meaning they always have to be honest in their opinions, good or bad. If they have a bad experience, that should be authentically messaged, because then the brand can show corrective action, and it's meaningful, and it actually increases brand equity, loyalty to the brand itself. So be very selective and also be proactively engaged with your brand ambassadors. Know what they're messaging. They can cause more damage than good in a short period of time if you're not aware of what they're posting and what they're doing and product that they're using. The worst thing you could do is lose sight of what your brand ambassadors are doing, what they're saying, and the damage is done. So visionary and brands engage with their ambassador community throughout the creation process. They provide product feedback to the product team as you work through commercializing products. And they can also be part of the development of your latest product. And this is predominantly what I'll find with when I was with Adidas and TaylorMade and Oakley is that these athletes are also integral to properly commercializing your product for the intended use in the market that you want to sell it to. So I'm going to use sportswear brands as an example, but you can utilize this across really literally any consumer product brand. So sportswear brands have heavily utilized professional ambassadors to promote their products through various what I call strategies. And what I'm going to give to you, in addition to what I just talked about with how to personalize the experience with your brand, this is one where how do you utilize brand ambassadors? And the first area is endorsement deals and sponsorships. That's the most obvious. This is one of the most common and effective ways to leverage professional athletes. They sign a lucrative endorsement deal. They become ambassadors and spokespersons for your brand. We've seen it every day when we turn on the TV. These athletes wear your products. They endorse your products. And at the same time, obviously, they're paid handsomely for it. But the benefit is you want to make sure that they're utilizing the product. They're passionate about the product and the brand itself so they can talk about it without always looking at the checkbook. And the second is, which is available to very few brands, I'll go back to MJ here, is that athlete signature lines. They're hard, and I put it in here as number 2 because it is being utilized by more and more brands out there. Many top athletes can collaborate with sportswear brands to create signature lines of products like shoes, apparel, and equipment. Brands associate the athlete's name, image, personal style with these co-branded products, appealing to their fans. That's the intent. A football player wants to feel that they're Bo Jackson. They want to feel they're Barry Sanders, whatever it is. They want to feel like they're a part of their athlete's lifestyle and that it will make them a better football player as a result of wearing Nike's football cleats. That's the intent. And that's why they do signature lines. It's predominantly in basketball, but you do see it in football and running shoes. Number 3 is athlete co-design and testing. This, again, is for the big boys, but it is something that the smaller brands are stepping up to as well, is that if you can get an athlete involved at the very front end of the commercialization of your product, all the better for them to be passionate about selling your product once it hits the marketplace. This firsthand experience of building high-performance products that they have a hand in commercializing is extremely influential. Number 4 is social media influencing. So there's massive social media following now. So you want these influencers to promote your brand on their platforms. Posts showing where they're wearing, using the brand gear, training routines, lifestyle content. That all creates this aspirational appeal of the brand and the products that they're promoting. And it's authentic. They wear it. They actually use it. Last thing you want is for them to be promoting your footwear brand, and when they're in a social media post, they have somebody else's brand on. That shouldn't happen. It's in contract, but I tell you, I've had brands, and also with Liquid Mind, where heading up the sports marketing, we've had those experiences and had to make a call to their agent. We don't want that to happen. It's very difficult to reverse that process. Brand campaigns and advertisements, utilize these ambassadors in campaigns and advertisements. And the reason I put this in here is because you want to have all that baked before you have a sponsorship deal in place. You know, athletes are featured heavily in these brand marketing campaigns, TV commercials, print ads, promotional videos. Their star power is showcased in these brands, and it creates a tremendous amount of buzz in the marketplace. So in-person promotions, events is another one. Brands are invited to sponsored events, special appearances. They host clinics, whatever it may be, pop-up stores. This happens all the time, and it's extremely effective. And number 7 is athlete storytelling. Because content is king, you want these athletes talking about the product itself and the brand that they're working with. It's a personal narrative, marketing highlights of the brand's role in their success. So by strategically partnering with these elite professional athletes across various sports, sportswear brands leverage their fame, their talent, and relatability to drive product credibility, brand loyalty, and consumer aspiration. It's huge. So these strategies utilized by visionary brands provide an ongoing authentication and loyalty that no other brand can achieve, increasing customer lifetime value, which is the bloodline of successful generation visionary brands. And these are the areas that most brands that become generation and successful long-term generational brands have executed seamlessly. So again, on Inspire Through Personalization, I've given you 8 points. In Aspire Through Ambassadors, I've given you an additional 7 points. These are areas that in order for you to, in our current environment that we're in, through social media, authentication, brand loyalty, and community engagement, will allow you to successfully cross that bridge from being an entrepreneurial brand to a generational visionary brand. So I always say, stay true, stay authentic, be different, be great. Thank you for listening to the Visionary Chronicles today. Enjoy the journey along the way. You can catch us at the Visionary Chronicles podcast on Podbean, Spotify, all the channels that carry podcasts, Apple Podcasts, iHeart, Pandora. So Visionary Chronicles was recently ranked as the #1 visionary and top 50 marketing podcast by FeedSpot. And also just wanted to mention again that the Visionary Brand book release, The Success Formula Behind the World's Most Visionary Brand, long project, but we finally finished it in January. And we've had entrepreneurs as well as business owners and leaders that have taken the course, we're proud to say. We have a master course of the Visionary Brand, and that's at thevisionaryfiles.com. And I think to date we've had crossing now 2,400 leaders that have taken the course. So very appreciative of that, the Visionary Brand Master Course. And if you have any follow-up, any questions you might have for me, those at Liquid Mind, go to liquidmindsite.com, liquidmindsite.com, and ask us a question. We also have free meetings that if you have a question on something from a business perspective, business development, sales, marketing, international distribution, whatever it may be, licensing, take a look at what we do. We'll set you up with a free meeting and happy to talk to you about that. And if you have any questions on the podcast, feel free to reach out to me at Bryan at liquidmindsite.com. Also on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. But again, if you have and like what we're talking about here, have friends that might benefit from what we're talking about here in the Visionary Chronicles, we would certainly appreciate you going to Apple Podcast, Spotify, Podbean, subscribing to the podcast, and we would look forward to having those subscribers to those who are currently listening to the Visionary Chronicles podcast. So again, thank you for your time. Greatly appreciated. Any questions, feel free to reach out, and I appreciate it. Thanks, and I look forward to the next Visionary Chronicles podcast.